Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Hankerson. I am an employee relations partner here at WGU in our Career Professional Development Office. Thank you for joining us this week for our Cybersecurity Week. Today, we have two recruiters from TEKsystem, Karina and Thomas, who will be sharing with us a little bit about TEKsystem and how to work with a third-party recruiter. From there, I'll pass it on to you, Karina. You're on mute.
Aloha, everybody. My name's Karina, and I'm an infrastructure recruiter here in the Hawaii market.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Aloha. My name is Thomas, and similar to Karina, I am also an infrastructure recruiter here in Hawaii. But we're so glad to be here, very excited. Thank you all for taking the time to join us. We do have a little presentation for you folks to just kind of help explain, like Anthony mentioned, who we are here at TEKsystems, a little bit as to how we operate, what our process is, and a little bit about just IT landscape as well as specifically kind of what we've been seeing here in Hawaii.
Yeah, so we'll start off with sharing our presentation. So Thomas, did you want to share your screen?
Yep, definitely. Give me a sec. Sorry, first, usually a Microsoft Teams kind of guy. Text images. Okay. Can all you guys see this? Or Karina, can you tell me if this is working?
Hmm?
It's working.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So yeah, like we mentioned, we are just a couple of recruiters here in the Hawaii office, both recruiters specializing within the infrastructure space. To start off, Karina, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So as far as this being our official statement, as far as what TEKsystems is, what we do. So we are a global business and technology services company, helping our clients achieve their business transformation and customer experience goals, being recognized by the world's leading technology platforms in cloud, data and digital. Our expertise, in strategy, design, execution, and operation, unlocking, business values through a range of technology and capacity solutions. So in the next slide.
Yeah, I know that sounds like a lot of words, but in short, what we do is really just identify top tech talent and really just help candidates, with the matchmaking process of trying to, help them find IT roles. But even further than that, it's more so trying to target the right role for you, because there's definitely roles out there, but to try and find one that really aligns with what you're looking for, that's definitely something that we pride ourselves in and definitely specialize in. So yeah, just wanted to add that. But Karina, continue.
Yeah, so to get more detailed as far as like who we are, so in general, we support 80% of the Fortune 500, being a premier partner with Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and most recently Snowflake. So as far as our reach, we have a little over 100, or we have 110 offices nationwide. As far as Hawaii specifically, we've been a brick and mortar for 15 years, partnering in capacity and solutioning for various verticals as far as the healthcare, finance, DoD, insurance, utilities, state and local government. And then as far as like the Hawaii market specifically, so, we have about 240 current employees supporting large to mid-sized businesses and federal integrators. So as far as 80 of those 240 are cleared professionals supporting 8 different programs relating to like the Navy, Army, Air Force, and Marines. We are pre-award partners on various upcoming pursuits, and nationwide we support 250 federal programs. And then as far as more insight to, what the day-to-day of a recruiter does. So a big part of our responsibilities is like sourcing, finding these great candidates. So when it comes to, keywords on a resume, a lot of that is going to relate to, the various technologies that are being utilized in these roles. So when it comes to, qualifying and disqualifying candidates for those specific roles, it can vary depending on the client as well. So if there's a technical assessment needed, verifying certifications, clearances, running references, and then building out that candidate submittal portfolio, which is presented directly to those hiring managers and speaking directly as to why you'd be the best candidate for those roles, as well as providing career guidance when it comes to market insight, the landscape of the IT market in various markets, as well as interview preparation, what to expect in an interview, who you'd be interviewing with. And like I said, providing that insight to what the landscape is looking like for those opportunities, specifically for us in the infrastructure space. And then as far as what it looks like partnering with a recruiter, so this is, the general overview of the career opportunity wheel, which does essentially show what it looks like partnering with us. So when it comes to, connecting on a call and as well as in a meeting, making sure that we have that strong understanding as far as what your skills, goals, and interests are, that way sharing those relevant opportunities. So then with the second stage being those opportunity matches, giving insight to those roles available that align, what the pros and cons are, more insight to the company overall, and just overall ensuring that, whatever opportunities you are interested in that we do have available, it is something you want to move forward with before we do put you in front of the, hiring manager. And then when it comes to like position preparation, after we present you to those hiring managers and they want to do an interview, then it goes on to that interview prep, providing that insight to what to expect in the interview process. And then after the interview process, we are able to get feedback as far as, what the hiring manager's thoughts are. And if an offer is extended, then it will go on to the fourth stage, being that onboarding and development. So as recruiters, we're there for you from day one, doing those check-ins, making sure that you're enjoying the role overall, hearing any concerns you may have, providing that feedback as well, and just overall ensuring that the partnership is going well. And then with the fifth stage being the continuous opportunity. So when it comes to our opportunities at TEKsystems, primarily on the commercial side, they're going to be a 6-month contract to hire. The intention is to convert to a full-time employee, but the fifth stage mainly applies if it was a short-term contract or a long-term contract, us being proactive in finding your next opportunity to ensure there's no real gap in your resume. And then when it comes to the federal side, majority of our opportunities there will be long-term contracts, which mean you will be a W-2 employee through TEKsystems. So as far as being a W-2 employee with TEKsystems, that gives you access to our Udemy portal, which has a little over 6,000 video modules and courses. So if you're looking to refine your skills, continuous education, or obtain a specific cert, utilizing that resource at your leisure. And when it comes to benefits, so our benefits are a la carte. So as far as, say, for example, it's a 6-month contract to hire, that means for the first 6 months, you would be receiving benefits and everything through us. So you can opt into what you'd want to, have as far as your benefits. So if you want, like, say, just vision and dental, or if you want vision, dental, and, medical, you have that option to choose, which ones you'd want to opt into. And then when it comes to our vacation, like PTO and holiday pay, so you can decide as well, like if you want to opt into that or not. So as far as on a 6-month contract to hire, most folks accrue about, on a 6 months, like 2, maybe 3, depending on how many hours you're working, of PTO. And then you get 6 holidays. But as far as how much you accrue on that 6-month contract, that does not turn over when you convert to a full-time employee. And if you do decide to opt into benefits, as far as like the PTO and sick leave or holiday pay, it would impact your hourly rate. So just depending on the role, we are able to provide those rates for you. But just so you know, like, yeah, it does impact that hourly rate. But as far as on the DoD side, it's pretty standard. 11 federal holidays up front. You accrue 1 hour of sick leave for every 30 hours worked, for a total of 56 hours of sick leave. And then once you make 1 year in the role, that's when you get the 2 weeks of PTO. And then when it comes to our like 401k savings plan, I don't want to give any misinformation on that. So we do have like a benefits team that you can reach out to for those information, for more insight to that information. But as far as the Hawaii market specifically, it's a bit different. So when it comes to medical, it's HMSA, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and then our dental is also Metcalf, dental and vision.
Cool. Perfect. So now that Karina's kind of told you guys a little bit about TEKsystems as a whole, our process, typically everything that kind of goes into it, and really what it looks like to be partnered up with people like ourselves. What I kind of want to do for the second half of the presentation is just talk a little bit about, IT landscape. I will preface this by saying, me and Karina, for being located here in Hawaii, we definitely have a unique market, a much smaller market, obviously. And so as far as visibility goes, I'd say we'd have the greatest visibility here. But to Karina's point, as far as our global outreach and how many offices we have nationwide, there's a chance wherever you guys are located, and it seems like you guys are all kind of scattered throughout the US, there's a TEKsystems office near you. So yeah, for any further questions, me and Karina are more than happy to help. But definitely types of opportunities, the clients that we have, they're all going to vary based off, your location. But that being said, what I kind of just wanted to share briefly was this quick little pie chart graphic. It is data that was pertaining to what the global IT spending was projected to be for this year. And so I know we kind of have a few more months until the end of the year, and we won't really fully know what the numbers are until probably sometime next. But basically what this was showing was that, yes, IT spending was expected to increase about 8.7%. All the different areas of where that money was being allocated to is separated by such. So for data center systems, devices, software, IT services, communication services. So all this being said, I mean, there's definitely a need for IT. I'll be fully transparent and say that, at least for here in the Hawaii market, the economy overall has been challenging. There's been a lot of layoffs and such. So personally, I'm really eager to kind of know what that data really shapes out to be once we kind of hit the actual end of year. But all this to say that, yes, IT spending overall is on the rise, and there's definitely a hot market for it for the time to come. Next slide, I just kind of want to touch upon maybe the three major trends that collectively I think we could say happen both, nationwide as well as here locally. The first one is pretty straightforward: systems modernization. So specifically pertaining to various ERP upgrades, microservices architecture, as well as API integration. For cloud migration, that's definitely a huge thing. Obviously, a lot of companies are trying to move everything to the cloud. Specifically here in Hawaii, that's definitely been a big topic. A lot of our clients, being that we're no by any means a technology hub, we're still operating on legacy type systems. So definitely just trying to make that migration from those to obviously anything cloud related or virtual. So obviously you guys have heard of probably the main technologies such as AWS, Azure, GCP. We've definitely see a need for that, specifically with a lot of our clients, commercially especially. And I will say that for us here in Honolulu, our TEKsystems office was actually able to help with a core conversion for one of our biggest financial clients, First Hawaiian Bank. So that was really cool to just be a part of. But yeah, definitely a major trend with that. And then as far as the last trend, cyber domain security, I mean, cybersecurity is going to be an ever evolving need for various businesses all over. So with that being said, stuff pertaining to network monitoring and logging, security operations, general threat and vulnerability management, incident response, even the non-technical side of IT. There's definitely been a huge uptick in need for things pertaining to governance, risk, and compliance, GRC. So, yeah, definitely just a wide range of cybersecurity needs overall, specifically, or both commercially as well as within the DoD. And then as far as Hawaii cyber trends, so just kind of keeping it broad still, as far as in real time in this moment, some of the open roles that we're seeing are kind of going to be split between some of those different aspects of cyber domain security. So we currently have a role as a NOSC cyber analyst, which is essentially a blend of, working within a NOC and a SOC. IAM, both within a technical aspect as well as historically have seen a couple of roles as like an IAM program manager too. So kind of a blend of kind of like the functional space as well. And then like I mentioned, typical technical security type roles as well. And then on the right side of the screen is pretty much some main tools that we have seen our clients been using. They're not all of them are cybersecurity focused. I mean, obviously Palo Alto, Cisco router and switches are going to be more within networking and such. But SIEM tools, any experience or exposure you can get towards those are definitely going to be extremely valuable. If serious about obviously wanting to start a cybersecurity career. And then even just frameworks too. I know NIST, RMF, even different sort of compliances like HIPAA, depending on the type of industry you want to get into. If it is commercial, those are all going to be really valuable as well. So with that being said, as far as all the tools and technologies, what you can do to kind of help, upskill yourself and just, remain marketable would be certifications. So I'm sure many of you have seen this. I know WGU is does an awesome job as far as like setting you up pretty well for attaining, a lot of these good certifications as a part of your guys' coursework. And as a result, once you guys graduate, you guys have maybe at least 3, 4. I've seen like much more than that too from students that I've been able to help as well. But obviously, this is something that gives you a breakdown as far as what are some good ones to get pertaining to what specific facet of IT you'd like to pursue. So yep, just also know that if you are serious about kind of pursuing a career within the DoD, what we've seen is that there's definitely more of a heavier weight if you were to go that route. So it comes down to obviously certs, obviously experience, and then obviously the requirement of having a secret clearance. I would say commercially, maybe it's not too much weight as far as having certifications, but they're definitely still nice to have. So overall, the more anytime you can spend as far as trying to get as much of these and really keep your skills high, it would be really valuable to you. But that is pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Karina and I, and we'd be more than happy to help. I know Anthony mentioned that he might compile a list of all the folks that have attended this meeting, and we definitely look forward to connecting with you very soon. But yeah, that's pretty much all we have. Anything you want to add, Karina?
Yeah, just to touch on the, CompTIA, when it comes to certifications, if you're looking at, say the DoD for any opportunities, majority of the time for entry level, it's going to be the IA2 Security Plus. When you're looking at more higher level positions, usually they're going to require IAT level 3 or IAT 3. So that's going to be like a CISA, CISSP, CASP. And then, just if you're, just to compare like, commercial and DoD, I think when it comes to rates, obviously we're more specialized in the Hawaii market. So you're going to see a lot more of a, what is it? it's going to be a bit different. So basically, like entry level, if you're looking at a say service desk role, commercial, it's going to be around like 19 to 25, and then on the DoD side, those rates are going to be 65 to 71K. So then, if you're looking at, sorry, let me see, like 40 to 45K for entry level service desk positions, commercial side. Um, I think when it comes to certifications, though, it goes hand in hand. You can have as much certs, high level certifications, but if you have no real experience, it's hard to leverage that. So I think as far as having that balance of, years of experience and certifications, that's important as far as well with, a resume. Kind of the things we look for is making sure, you're able to, what's it called? I'm blanking out. Apologies. But as far as certifications and years of experience, but when it comes to a resume as well, making sure you're not job hoppy. That's something that's considered, I guess you could say, a yellow flag. Making sure that we can speak to those folks as far as what the reasons are for those job hoppy kind of resumes. But that's just more insight to kind of like what kind of candidates and resumes we look for with working with those folks.
For sure.
Great. Thank you guys for providing that great information and also those resources for us. If you do have a question and you don't want to come off mute, you can drop your question in the chat. But if you would like to come off mute, go ahead and use the raise hand function on the computer, and I will unmute you so you're able to ask your question. And it looks like we do have some questions already in the chat, so I'll go ahead and start with those. First one from Jolly. I'm a cybersecurity analyst with 2+ years of experience with GRC, threat hunting, remote monitoring, and management, and having multiple industry standard certificates. I'm looking actively now for a role in cybersecurity. Is it possible for a chance for me to apply for any role? And if so, how?
Alrighty, yeah. Hi, Jolly. So as far as opportunities, it just, we would need to get a better understanding as far as what, you know, exactly within cybersecurity you're looking for. I mean, if you're looking at like GRC kind of opportunities, or like what exactly you want to do as far as a role, making sure we have that strong understanding of what your skills, goals, and interests are. So I think, we just need to get a better understanding exactly of like what you're looking for, rates, where the opportunity is. Like if you're looking at like, say Hawaii or like wherever you're located. I think there's just a lot of factors that play into it. So as far as like applying to an opportunity, you can log on to our or go to our TEKsystems websites, and that'll show a few opportunities we do have available there. Or just depending on what where you're located, then we can try and get you a recruiter and provide that service for you there.
Great. So I think this next question kind of answered, but you might want to go into further detail. Do you have help people identify the best roles for them based on their skill sets that might not know about types of careers that are out there?
Yeah, so giving more insight to the various type of opportunities available, because even when you're looking at cybersecurity, I mean, it's pretty broad. Even too with like being a part of the ISC2 chapter here in Hawaii, I think there's a lot of folks that have their opinions, and I know with some of the more higher like decision maker folks that I've met, a lot of them have said it starts at like the fiber optic. So I think as far as when it comes to an opportunity, or like when it comes to skill sets, it just varies on the role and like what you're looking for as far as, like I said, those skills, goals, and interests. But as far as like as a recruiter, us being like transparent with level setting those expectations. So as far as like career advising and providing more insight to what type of careers are available, we're able to do that and give more insight to that as well.
We have another question. If someone is working contract role, how to explain this in a way that doesn't appear as job hopping on their resume?
Yeah, so I think being able to, when I'm, reviewing resumes, I think the best way is to, put that it is a contract. Like, you put the company title, your years of experience, and then like kind of prefacing in either like a bullet point or in like parentheses, like contract work.
Yeah, sorry. To piggyback off that, I mean, doing contract work it isn't bad, right? I mean, that's definitely one of our main opportunities that we come across. It's obviously going to vary based off, client needs or just the role itself. But I think, it's less about maybe having a resume that speaks just, oh, this person, he or she has just only done contracts. That's not really no negative connotation to that. It's just like, say if there are any gaps in the resume, like in between those. We just, being your advocate, we just want to be able to understand kind of the reasons for maybe, he or she doing 3 or 4 contracts and then maybe not doing anything for like maybe a year or close to 2 years, and then kind of resuming doing contracts again. It's less about, oh, this person only does contracts, but kind of like, any sort of gaps that might be present. But if that's not the case, I don't personally, I don't foresee, and I think Karina would agree that, there really is no negative perception to just working contracts.
Mhm.
Okay. Another question from Doris. Do you hire students for entry level?
Yeah, so we hire students for entry level opportunities. I know we recently have had an opportunity that is to provide, um, what is it called? It's an entry level role that was a contract position, but it just varies depending on like the opportunities we have available. So at least right now, we had a few service desk opportunities that are looking at folks that do have more of like say just like an internship. I would say folks that have an internship in college or like that are have experience through like schooling, they do stack rank higher compared to other folks that say are more just like have no experience and trying to get into an entry level with like absolutely no experience, no education kind of a thing. But yeah, it just varies depending on the client as well.
I'll add something too. So it depends as far as like what the opportunity is. I know for WGU, like a lot of your guys' coursework is pretty flexible. It's essentially one that can be done on your own time, which is obviously extremely valuable. It makes things much easier for you folks. I would just keep in mind that for any sort of opportunity that you do come across, making sure you understand or know like what the, I guess, expectations are, because majority of our opportunities are going to be full time. So if you can at least kind of dedicate and you know have the commitment to at least be able to do like a regular Monday through Friday job during regular work hours and then still be able to do your schooling, yeah, we're more than happy to consider you for any sort of roles that would align. But I'd say that have also supported a couple of people in the role of doing like desktop refresh, so kind of like doing imaging of devices and deploying of them. Obviously, that's going to have a little bit more different schedule because you necessarily don't want to do the deployments during regular business hours. And so for those types of roles, I mean, there is a little bit more flexibility, but it all just kind of depends on what your specific situation is. But yeah, just some insight there.
Great, great. So I do have another question surrounding a resume from Andy. What errors in a resume causes a rejection that you see often? So if you have
Um,
or tricks.
I would say, applying for something that you aren't qualified for. So, say there's an opportunity that requires like, 5 to 10 years of experience. Putting like submitting your resume into the system, it'll likely just get filtered out. So that's why level set expectations with salary requirements. So not just with like years of experience, but also, with certifications.
I'll add another thing too. Like obviously, like I mentioned, for all your guys' coursework, all of that's going to lead to, attaining certifications at one point or another. But I think when it comes to resumes, maybe just stay on the side of only putting certifications that you actually have in hand, and maybe not putting those ones that you're actively working towards. Just because perception wise, it can kind of be like misperceived as, oh wow, this person has like 8 certifications, but in reality 4 of them are being are ones that are just only being worked on, and maybe in reality he or she maybe just has 2 or 3. I think that it would be smarter and just more efficient if whatever ones you had in hand are actually on the resume, and then maybe in like a cover letter or something, maybe you can kind of explain that you're also working towards these other ones. But that's specifically kind of like a little heartburn that our clients have shared with us, so hence wanted to share that with you guys as well.
Right. So I do have another question, and this is regarding to salary negotiation. How do you work? How should someone applying for a position speak about negotiating their salary with a recruiter?
I would say, being transparent about what the rate is you're trying to target. Because when it comes to our opportunities, like I said, we are like nationwide. We do have nationwide reach. So it's like when it comes to, sharing those relevant opportunities, at the end of the day, we just don't want to share those roles that aren't relevant. So, stack ranking what those like non-negotiables are for you when it comes to an opportunity. So if it's like, the pay matters the most, or work-life balance matters the most, or say commute or location, like work place environment, like you'd rather work say fully remote, or you're okay working hybrid or on site, etc. Like just having that open communication and transparency with a recruiter, so that we're able to best serve you as the candidate and make sure we're sharing those relevant roles, and setting you up for success as far as wanting to achieve your short-term and long-term goals.
Good. So we do have a few more questions here. Um, One being from Nikki. Are your opportunities a good mix of an office and remote, or mostly one or the other?
You want to go, Thomas, or do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, I mean, the safe answer is it just depends. Depends on the role. I will say that for a lot of entry level roles, it's probably going to veer more towards the side of being on site. I think once you start to get maybe mid to higher level, within any of the skill sets of like systems, networking, or security, I think there's greater flexibility. I know that here in the local market, there's maybe a handful of clients that do kind of do a good job of having a remote aspect and really kind of still abiding by that, I guess, work-life balance per se. But I think overall, and I think for many of you on the mainland can attest to, is that a lot of companies just everywhere are trying to make the migration back to just on-site environments, especially in comparison to the pandemic and what that allowed us to do as far as working remotely. But yeah, entry level probably going to be more on site, but higher level, I think you start to get a little bit more flexibility.
And to piggyback off of that, Ada had a question: what top skills can help me stand out more when applying to entry level positions?
I can answer that. So as far as applying to entry level positions, just with a lot of the hiring managers that we work with, at least here in the Hawaii market, but I think it goes up, nationwide, or like just overall, having the communication and aptitude, providing that customer service. Because when it comes to entry level positions, majority of the times for like say help desk, for example, for like the infrastructure space, a good amount of the issues you're resolving are like tier 1, right? But majority of the times it's going to be a lot more customer service, having that good communication skills, aptitude, to then be able to do the work itself, as far as the technical services, providing that end user support. So yeah, entry level just varies, but as far as like say if it's not in the infrastructure space, I just won't be able to speak to that because I'm not as versed on it. But yeah.
Great. And so I do have a question from Richard. I've worked with recruiters in the past. How do I keep that connection going?
Um, so say that one. I worked with recruiters in the past.
Uh,
How do I keep that?
Connection going. And if Richard,
Mhm.
you want to elaborate on that, you can come off mute or you can drop some more information in the chat. It may be regarding to working with a recruiter and losing contact with that recruiter about the role, or just the recruiter not getting back with you in general. No
Yeah. So I
worries.
think as far as oh, apologies, but I think as far as keeping connection, LinkedIn is a great place. I think as far as like building that network and being able to see how folks are doing. I mean, at least for me, for example, someone I've been working with or recently just placed. I initially first spoke with him like 2 years ago, and it's now that I placed him in a role. So I think being able to touch base, continue, have those conversations with your recruiters, or connect with them on LinkedIn, so that being able to reach out to them and schedule a time to connect with them or get more insight to what the IT landscape is looking like. Just because even from like Q4 now to when we first started in Q1, I think the market has evolved overall. So yeah, being able to get more insight to that, and as well as provide that opportunities and services for you folks as like candidates.
And I think I know the answer for this, but I'll let you go and answer this, Karina. Is any of this free, or how much does it cost?
So, we are, there's a reason why we're like partners for those premier companies like Microsoft, Amazon and Google. So I think as far as how much is free when it comes to like, is it like
Your
Are,
service?
opportunities
are they
or?
asking about like our services or
Yeah,
like utilizing our help?
yes, I do believe that. Colleen, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Yes.
Okay.
Your services.
Yeah, Karina, I can answer this. So, I mean, I'm not too sure how many of you have worked with recruiters in the past or what your familiarity was of tech systems prior to this call. But, maybe with other staffing agencies, maybe they require like a certain cut out of your salary or weekly or biweekly paycheck. That's not the case for us. The way we get paid for our services is that we bill our client. So if that was kind of the place where you were coming from, that's not a concern when working with people like Karina and I. Yeah, we have strong relationships with our clients, and Karina talked about how closely we work with the actual hiring manager. So for each client that we work with, we do have like specific statements of work pertaining to each sort of role, and obviously like the pay range that role is, I guess, allotted. So in tandem with what we try to do as far as really understanding what's important to you, especially in terms of salary, we're always going to try and shoot for the highest for that, and again really be that advocate for you. But everything else that follows after would just be like a contractual agreement between more so us and our client. So yeah, as far as what you have to pay us, it's nothing. Hopefully you can pay us back in commitment though.
There you go. Long-term contract to hire. That'll be awesome. So I do have another question in regards to students who are starting into their cybersecurity career journey. As many of us starting out in cybersecurity, is there a way we could speak to someone in TEKsystem that we could figure out what role is going to fit our skill set, or any other additional resources or links I can provide through email once I send out the recording?
Yeah, so if I understand that correct question correctly, I guess like what resources can students have to kind of help them just really, I guess, navigate the job market as a whole, to help them kind of start their cybersecurity career. Yeah, if that's the case, then obviously it's going to be different. I don't, again, want to give any misinformation, but for me and Karina being located here in Hawaii, starting a cybersecurity career is going to be a tad different. It definitely follows the traditional career progression as far as like, starting with entry level and then maybe, going into either system administration or networking. And then thereafter, finally being able to kind of touch upon cybersecurity. We've seen some roles that kind of give immediate exposure to anything cyber. It's just it's rare. So that, not saying that that's still the case for wherever you guys are located up in the mainland, but I imagine that maybe it's not as strict or you know yeah, restricting as far as just being able to kind of jump into cyber roles. I know there's a handful of I think like cyber internships, kind of blanking right now, but I know like symposia. I think I've come across one. Yeah, and any sort of like, I think just cyber internships to just gain what would be probably the first ideal um, step to kind of just again give you that exposure, and then hopefully being able to attain an actual full-time role within whatever type of security you're trying to pursue.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, when it comes to, I know I'm not as technically versed in IT as a lot of the folks here attending, but I think with a lot of the folks that I have spoken with, so, yeah, you definitely see people that are like, starting out, they want like a cybersecurity role right off the bat. But with like, for example, like this person I spoke with, so he used to be like very senior sysadmin kind of guy, and now currently is over as a network architecture. So I know with a lot of the conversations I've had with him, kind of the biggest like frustration, I guess you could say, or the thing he's noticed in his 10 plus career in IT is so when it comes to say like folks that just jump into cyber right away, they were doing like an audit check, and it's like not having those like fundamentals within infrastructure is kind of the biggest thing like he noticed. But that's just one person's opinion, but that's just like take it with a grain of salt, but at least having that like infrastructure foundation, so that you can be a great cybersecurity professional versus being a good cybersecurity professional.
Now, Lena has a question. I applied for TEKsystem. Is there a way to connect directly with a local recruiter? How would you go about connecting with recruiters in their areas?
I would say you know, either applying to those roles directly on the TEKsystem website, or if you're on LinkedIn, you know, look up a TEKsystems recruiter, and you should be able to find a few recruiters that way as well and reach out to them that way.
I think making yourself, oh sorry,
No, you're good.
I think like on the other side of that, just making yourself as visible as possible. I know what Karina had mentioned was kind of pertaining more to obviously just like kind of applying and getting yourselves in our system. But on the flip side, what you guys could do is yeah, really just be active on LinkedIn, marking yourselves as open to work. Um, specifically, stating what types of roles that you're interested in. I believe, there's also an option to kind of, again, specify like if you're solely looking for remote or, on site. I think it's also possible to obviously like put your resume on your LinkedIn profile. So, there's a lot of different things that you can use on LinkedIn to really just help get your name out there. So, yeah, as much as people like myself and Karina, want to connect with you folks, there is a lot of people. So yeah, the more you can do as far as like presenting your information up front, I think that should, definitely increase your chances.
Yeah, and sorry, just to piggyback off of that again. So like going back to those keywords. So when we say keywords, it's going to be like those technologies or technical skills. So let's say, for example, like network security, utilizing those like certain protocols, like I think it's like EI, GRP, OSF. Yeah, I'm gonna get those acronyms wrong, but things like that, or even to yeah, just I would say the biggest one is like those type of like technologies or technical skills. Like I was gonna give an example, but it's like yeah.
Right. So we do have a few more. Where would I start if I wanted to be an SOC analyst? What could be considered an entry level position for that?
So I'd say with like an entry level like SOC analyst, a good amount of your time will be spent like monitoring and like vulnerability management, like scanning devices. Um, so I would say for that, that's kind of the main thing with those type of or roles. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to say symposia. I know I said that before, but I think I've come across candidates and have spoken to some that have been able to have internship experience there that was able to kind of get them exposure to that. So yeah, I would say again, depending on what's available in your specific location, it kind of yeah maybe going the route of that just to kind of help build up your resumes so that you can hopefully again attain an actual full-time position as that role.
Okay. Um, So do you think the job market will become less competitive over the next couple of years? And when you're applying to tech systems, should I say you referred me so you get a little cut? And that's from Chris.
Sorry, can you repeat that question,
Yeah,
Anthony?
I'm sorry. It was funny post. Do you think the job market would become less competitive over the next couple of years? And when I apply to tech systems, should I um, refer you as um, the person who referred to get a little cut?
Okay.
Sorry, this just reminds me of like when I found out there was I can't remember. He's a high level cyber professional. But we had it's a funny story because he was like his girlfriend is now working for tech systems and then like mentioned that like oh the only reason I know about tech systems was because like I heard my boyfriend talking to like the recruiter, which was me, and then he ended up ghosting us for an opportunity here in Hawaii. But nonetheless, he was a great professional like cybersecurity person. But that was just like a funny thing. But yeah, sorry, just to go back to your question, as far as when do people contract work, I've heard.
Yeah,
I think it just varies if you're talking about like are you talking about commercial or like the federal side?
that's a good question. Either.
Yeah, so as far as on the commercial side, like I said, majority of our opportunities are that 6 month contract to hire. So a lot of folks, that 6 months to decide, like, if you even like the job with that company. But the intention is to convert, and that's why when it comes to those conversations about sharing those opportunities, making sure we have that relationship and build on that, like, having that open communication. Because at the end of the day, we wouldn't want to place you in a role that you're not going to be happy in.
Yeah.
And then on the DoD side, yeah, it's majority is like long-term contracts. So when it comes to like, for example, we give raises like every year for a lot of our folks on those, programs, but it's just a case by case basis. But majority of the times, like, yeah, um, it's like that.
Yeah, I think it's to kind of cap off on that. I mean it's the economy definitely gave us some challenges and this past year, and I know for folks up in the mainland the 2022 year was especially hard. I think things are kind of starting to get better, so if we're at the bottom, the only way um, outside of that is up. But I will say, as far as working in industries like DoD, I would even say within the commercial space, kind of healthcare, I wouldn't say is safe, but I would say healthcare maybe hasn't been as hit as hard as maybe of our other industries that we support, at least here in Hawaii. But yeah, definitely for Hawaii, like a lot of the banks, financial institutions, they, you know, I feel like talk of budget was always their, main thing. So, um, as far as like forecasting, I'm not a genie and I can't predict the future. I can only hope that it starts to kind of take a turn and go up from here. But yeah, that definitely some challenges earlier this year, just to be fully transparent. Um, I'd say, yeah, mostly for the commercial space.
Yeah, thanks. I know with recruiting, the outlook is different depending on where you're at. So, um, based on that market, definitely have to kind of look in and see what type of roles you're going to apply for and what that looks like. I do have a question from Colleen, and I'm going to change up the question a little bit. But as far as as contract work, um, it does contract pay more than being hired on permanently? And if it does, could you, once hired on permanently, could you stay with that same salary, or does it get renegotiated?
Yeah, Karina, I'll answer this. Good question. So it depends. I will say and be fully transparent that yes, I've come across instances where you tend to make more as a contractor, and then potentially once you convert into a full-time employee, it's exactly the case of what you had mentioned in your question. It can be up for renegotiation, and at times it's just a matter of that conversation between yourself and the client, and maybe even a little bit of us too, but not really. As far as whether or not it might be an increase, or I've heard of cases where it's actually maybe a little bit lower than what you had made, could or were making as a contractor. So again, safe answer is depends, but yes, that does happen where you tend to make more, you convert, and then sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher.
All right, thanks. And I know with those contract negotiations, a lot of things come into play as far as benefits and time off, um, healthcare. So those things you would be afforded if you were going to a full-time role with a certain company. And
Correct.
last question from Aiden: any good books that you recommend that help with your career journey?
Like as a career as a recruiter, or like a career, like for your guys' career, like within IT?
You said both.
Hmm.
Oh man. Uh oh, you're really putting me on the spot. I can't really remember the last book I read.
I got
Let's
one.
Yeah, go Korea.
I would say for my career, actually though, no, I haven't even read it all. I remember I saw it in the office and I just took it. It was one of my colleague Jordan's. It was the Rich Dad Poor Dad, with the 4 quadrants and all that. But I would say for like personal, I think anything Eckhart Tolle, that's a great one. But I can't remember the name. It's like Soul Transformation by like Dr. Zhao. I can't remember it all. Sorry. I'm like, if you email me though, I can send you that book recommendation.
I'll also say, and this is kind of a stretch, but I think in any role you're obviously gonna run into challenges and such, and whether you're entry level or whether you're higher level, um, I think and just to kind of keep things light, like as an office, we were given kind of like an exercise book, or sorry, not really an exercise book, but kind of like a manual of doing certain tasks and like really reflecting on them in real time. And this book was made by, I think, a former like Marine or a Navy SEAL. So it was those types of books that really like make you reflect and kind of see what the issue is and how to like adapt and overcome it. I think those types of books are always going to be extremely valuable in any sort of role. But good question. Good question. Makes me want to read a book now.
All right. Any other questions? Um, don't see any additional questions in the chat. Give it another minute.
Yeah. I will say, if not any more questions, guys, just thank you so much for giving Karina and I your guys' precious time. I know you guys are all located everywhere, and I think if I was tracking correctly, majority of you are on the East Coast, so you're probably going into your evening. So yeah, kudos to you guys for taking the time and really prioritizing your guys education, but also your career. Yeah, Karina and I look forward to connecting with any of you folks and really just providing any sort of help or resources that we can to kind of help you guys get where you want to get to. But yeah, if Karina, if you want to add anything too, I just want to express our appreciation.
No, yeah, really appreciate it. And yeah, as far as resources for like more insight to the market, at least the Hawaii market is kind of what we're able to provide. But I know if, looking at moving to Hawaii is something you are interested in for opportunities, we are able to send you that what it looks like moving to Hawaii guide, just because, yeah, just to be transparent, it's expensive to live in Hawaii, but providing that information and insight to, the Hawaii market as well.
Thank you very much, Thomas and Karina, for joining us today. We enjoyed everything that you guys brought. Tomorrow, I will be sending out the recording of this video, also a short survey. So if you would take a minute or two out of your day to fill that out, that would be great. Along with that email, I will include some resources and also Thomas and Karina's contact information as well. And thank you very much for joining us. And if you have any questions, please let us know.
I'll do. Alrighty. See you
All right.
guys later.
Have a good rest of your evening. Thank you.